When handling objections in the sales process, well, we know it's the most important part of the sales technique. And so unless we handle the objection, we really can't move the deal forward. And yet there are those times that I can tell when I'm talking to a prospect, there's that unspoken objection, meaning I can tell when the prospect is still concerned about something, but they're not articulating it. And so what I like to do when I'm in that situation is I love to use the power of silence. Silence. The power of silence is the only time you can actually add pressure into the sales process. You really want to get comfortable with the uncomfortable. And that's what the power of silence does. And so for me, whenever I'm talking to a prospect and I can tell that there's that unspoken objection and yet I can't move the deal forward, what I like to do is just ask the question. I may say something like, you know, Mr. Prospect, you and I have been spending a lot of time and I have a pretty good understanding, I believe, of what it is that you need. And so with that, though we've talked about it and I've offered up a couple of solutions, what I can tell is that you still have a couple of concerns. May I ask what that is? The power of silence simply means that once I ask that question, I no longer talk. And what's not uncommon, unfortunately for sales folks, is sometimes what will happen is people will ask the question and then apply and give the answer. And so they'll say something like, well, you know, may I ask what that is? Is that price? Is that this? Is that that? And now all of a sudden what happens is the prospect, who didn't want to tell you in the first place, may grab hold of an objection you just threw their way. And so what that then does is now all of a sudden you're trying to overcome an objection that isn't really the real objection. And so the power of silence is so useful in the sales process when articulated correctly. And so the best way that I have found, again, is when asking the prospect and I can't get them to move, is I'm going to ask the question and then I'm going to be quiet. Because from there, once they tell me, I now know what that real objection is and I can handle accordingly. On your next call, try to think about using the power of silence. There's more great tips like these at StephanieChung.com. You're smarter than you think, cooler than they ever told you. And now let's go sell something.